Hello again. Today we are going to talk about the perils of working in a bubble. And by that I mean working by yourself without any outside input or influence or collaboration or anything like that. So, if you're a web cartoonist, it's kind of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, you don't have to worry about editors or anyone interfering with your work. And so you're free to publish whatever you feel like. So if you feel like having a whole bunch of curse words in your comic, go for it. If you feel like having like hardcore sex and everything you're doing, that's awesome too. No one's going to stop you, except for maybe some adult search filters and some of that kind of stuff. But for the most part, you're free to publish whatever you want. On the flip side, you don't have anybody giving you input when you're working by yourself. So you can run into some problems when it comes time to put together like a print collection, because once you start moving towards print, that's a commercial venture, and your comic is a piece of commercial illustration. You're there to try to sell your stuff, to get people to read your stuff, and if you haven't kept that in mind as you've been working, when it does come time to put something together to be published, sometimes you can run into problems. All last week I spent hours and hours and hours and hours working on a cover for this first collection, and I put together something that I thought was a decent enough illustration, not thinking at all about like the potential client or whoever might want to pick this up or how the book sat on the shelf or anything like that. I just had this idea of an illustration that I wanted to do, and so I did it and I executed it and finished it and put it together. And then I thought, well, I do have friends who have published books before. Let me run it by them, see if they have an opinion, see what they think. And the first comment I got was that the image of Kane that I had drawn had a gigantic hand. Like, the hand was way too big. It was a big old Street Fighter Capcom hand, where the hand is like twice as big as the face. And the other comment I got was that the illustration was really sad and really depressing and kind of dark. And people don't want to buy a depressing book necessarily, and so the concern was that perhaps, this illustration was a little, it got the point across. The title of the book is Back to the Grind, and it did depict a very depressing situation of getting on the metro and being crowded and having to go to work. The expression effectively communicated that, but it also potentially could have cost me sales. And that's something that I didn't think about when I was doing the thing. And I'm glad that I have friends who are more than willing to tell me, hey, you might want to rethink what you're doing. So I reworked the illustration with some suggestions from my friend Ananth, who's the writer for Johnny Wander. And he came up with this great idea of Kane standing there with like a mischievous smirk on his face and a Sharpie, and he had drawn pencil mustaches on everybody in the car. And I thought, that's a great idea. That totally fits the tone of the book. It's wonderful. And so I ran with that, came back, finished it, and this is a problem with working at like 3 o'clock in the morning, is that you just kind of tunnel vision in, and everything that you're supposed to think about, it just goes out the window. So the illustration was much better, much stronger. However, Kane's face now appeared to be really evil and sinister looking, and I wasn't really going for sinister, I was going for mischievous, but somewhere in the process I lost the mischievous smiling thing, and so I have this evil looking cover, which also may hurt sales, and so I'm about to work on the final version, which I think is a little less sinister and less sad and fits the tone of the book. But if I had not bothered to contact my friends, I would have published a cover that was really fucking depressing and may not have translated to sales. Now, I don't know if this new stuff will translate to sales anyway, because it's not in print, and this is the first time I've done a book, and the first time I've self-published anything, so I have no idea what it's going to be like. But I feel that with the new direction that the cover is taking, there's a better chance for it to succeed. So the overarching point is, if you are an independent cartoonist and you're working by yourself, it behooves you greatly to every once in a while ping your friends who are illustrators or cartoonists and ask their opinions about things, whether it's a technique for illustrating or writing comics or putting together a book or publishing a book or covers like that. Your friends, some of your friends may have experience in this regard, and some of your friends may have, decent opinions about whatever. It's good to get out there, to get out of your personal bubble and step aside and just, get some outside opinions, because it definitely doesn't hurt. Like, editors definitely make books better. And I think that you need some creative feedback, bounce ideas off each other, and that way, you can come up with better ideas. And so, don't just laser focus in on what you're doing and ignore everyone else. Sure, if you're an independent web cartoonist, it doesn't matter. You don't need an editor, but it helps to get some outside input, as hopefully you will be able to see when the cover comes out. So those are my ideas on the dangers of working in your own bubble. If any of you have any other thoughts on this matter, please let me know, video response, or respond in the comments in the posts and down here and all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.